All right, good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello to you too. My name is Vahid Chitsaz, part of the Elite Mastermind group. Thank you for this morning taking the time and being with us. Ashley, go ahead and introduce yourself to everybody. Let everybody know where you're coming from and what's some of you, maybe something about your background a little bit.
Sure. So my name's Ashley Hannawacker, Ashley Han on Instagram, and I am actually coming to you from San Diego. I am a branding and marketing strategist and also a best-selling author, speaker, and I honestly have been on such a journey for this past what has it been, like 3 or 4 years now, of self-development and self-growth. And I'm just excited to be talking about this book because this is one of the books that actually inspired me in writing my book as well. So there's concepts that I pulled from that and kind of, in my own way. And so it's been a beautiful journey. So I'm super happy to be here.
Awesome. So I'm just gonna let you flow. So you just go ahead and share with us, what did you get initially when you start? First of all, I want to know how you got introduced to the book. Second is, what were a couple of things that initially popped out and you're like, oh my God, these are good content. This is very, very important information for me to learn.
Yeah. Okay. So how it came to me, honestly, I don't remember because it was quite a few years back. So I'm sure someone recommended it to me. It's probably my father who did. My father is like my rock, my mentor for life. And he actually taught me a lot of this mindset stuff at a really young age. He had quotes all over, like hung all over our house. And yeah, and he was always so keen, which is one of the big takeaways from Napoleon Hill's book is thoughts are things and your mindset matters. And my dad taught me that all growing up. I had this quote actually plastered everywhere that was, be careful what you think because your thoughts create your words create your actions create your character, and your character determines your destiny. So he would always say, Ashley, watch what you're thinking, and so that mindset piece is really key. But for me, the biggest takeaway that I got from that book was, well, two main things. So the first thing is I love the fire of your desire, and I had that. But the issue was then the second piece of it, which is faith, having faith. I used to doubt myself consistently. I had massive insecurity. Had really severe anxiety. I was actually diagnosed with severe anxiety disorder, always worrying about, what happened in the past or something that hasn't even happened yet, thinking the worst. I lived in fear and lack and scarcity, and it all started from here, right? And so the having faith really meant self-confidence, believing in myself, trusting. And so that is huge. You will get nowhere if you don't even believe the things you tell yourself. Like if you're telling yourself something like, I'm great, I'm going to be a millionaire, but in your subconscious mind is like, BS, right? You're not believing it. You're not going to achieve it. So it's that faith, that unwavering, unconditional faith that really, truly just like hit home for me. And I talk about that a lot in my book. And then the second piece is persistence and focus, commitment. That, like, I had shiny object syndrome. And a lot of that came from a lack in faith, right? So I would start to lose faith and I would get scared, and then I would, shiny object, I would go this way and I would go that way. And I took myself off course so many times, and I would give up, and I would give up way too soon. And so, that Thomas Edison example in the book is like, I think he tried, it was like over 10,000 times, was it?
Cool.
Over 10,000 times. And a lot of us give up. Actually, there's a stat that, okay, so I'm curious to know if you know this. Do you know the average amount of times that people give up? Like after trying how many times do you think people try on average before they give up?
I'm pretty sure the number is going to be astronomical because I see people giving up left and right, and it's like ridiculous. But it's not the 10,000. Just so you know, to me, it's like after the 10th time that you have failed,
Yeah,
I think you're tough skin if you just do the 11th time. Sometimes people think they have to
absolutely.
do 10,000 times. I'm like, listen, as long as you haven't given up, that whatever that number is, it's admirable to me. I'm not like, dude, I want to be in business with this guy because I know this guy's gonna have my back and he's not gonna quit. So that, but go
Absolutely.
ahead, what's this stat? I'm interested to know now.
Yeah. Okay. So it was a study that was done, and the average amount of times that people tried before they gave up and quit was 1.2. 1.2.
That's
That's crazy,
Imagine
right?
if I quit, when I was asking my wife to go out with me and everything else after one time, like, that's ridiculous. But that is reality though. That is reality. That's
Yeah.
exactly what's going on. Even though for some of us that are in business, that's like ridiculous, you know, but that is reality.
Yeah, and I forget what the exact stat was, but they did they continued that study, and the people who did try, I think it was over 9 times, their success rate went up drastically, because the whole point is like people we fear failure. It's because it's actually not failure that people are afraid of. It's the meaning that they're attaching to failure. And Napoleon talks about this a lot, interpretation. It's our perception of what we're making failure mean about us, right? We're making it mean things like, I'm a failure, or I'm not good enough. See, I'm not smart enough. Those are the things that kill us. It's not the actual neutral event of something not working out. It's what we're making that mean about us. So I think that is a huge piece, because really when we transform the meaning of failure to something like failure equals learning, or failure equals I'm bold and brave and I don't give a F, that's empowering for people. Like, you're like, okay, I failed. Awesome. What did I learn? And how can I carry that forward? Like, how can this push me forward? Because now I know something that I didn't know before. I know another thing that doesn't work so that I get closer to what will work, you know?
I
So
agree with that 100%. And I think in life right now it's called failure, but down the line in life it's called experience. So you gotta, I
yeah.
mean, that's how you gotta. It's not. Well, maybe I'm looking at it in a different manner, where when I fail, we're just labeling a failure. To me, it's just things that didn't work out. But that doesn't mean it didn't totally work out. A lot of times it doesn't work out to the expectations that I set for myself or the standards, but it got a lot done. So that little experience that I get from it, I can take on and do more.
Yes.
So it doesn't
Yes.
mean in business when you fail, you're not making any money. Your goal might be making $500,000, or your goal is maybe to sell, 10,000 books, but you sell 5,000. But that still was progress. You made money. It was good.
Better
You
than
helped
none.
5,000 people. You got the word out. So next time on your second book, now you do things, you upgrade yourself every level. So to me, it's just like failure is like, it doesn't mean you didn't make any money and you went bankrupt and, there's no, so I don't look at it as a catastrophe. I look at it as, hey, it was progress. It just wasn't as big as a progress as you anticipated to be.
Yeah, well, you shifted the meaning. You created a meaning that empowers you, because at the end of the day, it is a neutral event. And so you had it mean like, I'm a mover and a shaker. Like, I'm taking action. I'm moving. I'm not afraid to move, because like you said, you could fail, right? And in that word, we put such a negative like charge to it, right? But it doesn't have to be that way, is what I'm saying. Like you had it mean, I'm a mover, I'm a shaker. Like, I'm taking action, I'm making progress, versus staying stagnant and just thinking about doing something, but not actually doing it because we're afraid that it won't work out. But what's the big deal? If it doesn't work out, so what? Like, what are we making that mean? You know?
But we're taught that though in school though, Ashley. Think
Mm-hmm.
about that. In school, if you take an examination or something like that, and they call it a fail, so from childhood, we're already
Yeah.
programmed for that. So,
So true.
I don't expect people, sometimes I say it very easily and we just use words to explain. We're like, yeah, just don't worry about the failures, just keep pushing on. But that's like 20 years worth of garbage that you got in your brain that you gotta, or I should say your mind. Brain is a muscle, but you got 20 years worth of garbage and association to that word that we gotta get out of you. So if you don't get it out within first 6 months, I shouldn't be upset, because it took 20 years for it to be implemented in your
Yes.
mind. So we can't pull it out in 6 months. So I'm like, don't look at, I was telling somebody about going to gym. I'm like, I'm not the sexiest body looking guy, but I understand in my brain, if I want to go to gym and if I show up there, I'm not going to expect a six pack in like 3 months. It took me 15 years of my habits that I'm doing today to get to where I am. How the hell am I going to expect that to change in 3 months? That I can be on my path. I'm changing the path that I'm going on. But that would be ridiculous for me to compare myself to these bunch of high school kids. They got their six pack. I mean, they're just like ripped, and they don't even try. So it's a little bit of it takes time. It takes time.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's patience. That's actually another big lesson I got from the book, honestly, is patience. Because one of my things is I want things, I want them now. Learning that there's actually, you can enjoy the process. It doesn't have to be this miserable process. Like, enjoy the journey. And a lot of people don't talk about the journey. You know, they just go right to the destination. But like, I just was at a talk. I was talking at an event actually called Money Grows on Trees this past weekend. And one guy said, you know, they say Rome, you know, wasn't built in a day. They don't talk about each brick that was laid, to build Rome. Like, that's the beauty. It's the journey, it's the process. And if we aren't enjoying it, like, we're living life every day. Like, life just keeps going whether we want it to go or not. So we may as well enjoy it. And so for me, that's a huge one, is patience and persistence. Because like you said, it's a new muscle. You're going to the gym and you want to, you know, you have a certain target goal. That's a new muscle that you haven't flexed before, and it takes time to grow a muscle. And like any other thing in our life, if we haven't been wealthy before, that's going to be a new muscle. If we haven't been successful before, we keep flexing, we will be. But it's all about continuing to flex and not giving up and not expecting, like, that expectation. I actually have another quote that I love is, expect nothing, appreciate everything. And there's nothing more powerful than gratitude. Seriously. Like, we get our minds in a grateful state, that we'll have more to be grateful for. So
definitely. I was telling an individual, we were talking last week, and he's got 2 kids. He's got 2 daughters. I only have 1. So we were talking, and his business is not going the way he's been anticipating this year. And, you know, I mentioned to him, I said, you're a very, very successful man. You just don't know it. He's like, Vahid, you know, don't be just feeding me motivation, this, you know, it doesn't work with me. I said, let me tell you why. I got 1 daughter, and I just realized it takes a village to raise a child. Literally, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, the sister-in-law, me, my wife, everybody's like contributing in some way or some shape to just raise 1 baby. And I told him, I said, you got 2 daughters. They're both going to school. They're both healthy. They're still doing, they're doing a lot of behaviors that you taught them. You just don't look at that as a success because you didn't attach that success to a monetary number that we're thinking 100,000, 200,000, 1 million, 5 million. But I said, I'm looking up to you. You raised 2 kids, two girls, and I'm only trying to do like 1, and I'm like half the time I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. I'm looking up to you. I'm like, damn, you're successful, man. I wish I was as good as you, right? And he's like, I never thought about it like that. I said, well, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do in your business. In a lot of other aspects of your life, you are successful. Now, what did you do with these 2 girls that you raised them this way? They're very polite. They're in their school. You know, when you see them, they're running. You know, they're just good kids. Not just because they're just quiet, nice. They were trained, and those behaviors come from, you know, parents. And I said, you are successful. You're just not looking at it as that. And I said, just think about it. What if your kids were crazy, maniac, cuckoo in the head? How much more money did you have to make to just cover that up? I was like, just think about it. You have actually created something that you could do a course on, and I'll be the first one to pay $500 to just know all the basics, how to raise 2 daughters that behave like this. You're already a millionaire, you just don't know it. It's just not, you just can't put your, you know, touch the money. So to me, success is not just in business. It could be in life.
that's so powerful. Like, if we have the capacity to be successful in one area, we have the capacity to be successful in all areas. It's learning what we're applying in that area. And you said that. It's like, he can take that and create something massively powerful in business. He just hasn't done it. Maybe because, which we are our own worst enemies, we are the ones creating our blocks. There's nobody standing in front of us being like, not letting us move and like taking our hands and putting them down so we can't do anything. Like, we are the ones doing that. We're the ones, we're in our own way. So like, there's something that he's telling himself, a thought that he's telling himself that's like, oh, I don't think, I'm good at that, but I don't think I can do that. Like, oh, I don't know that. So those are the self-doubt, self-sabotaging thoughts. I used to entertain thoughts like that, which is why for so long, it took me so long to get off of my feet, because I was in my own way. And also, one key thing that I noticed too when you're sharing that is, like, you're noticing the challenges that come up in raising a child and all over the place. And you saw this man who's like, wow, like, you raised these two girls and they're amazing. And in that moment, you have felt love and admiration for him. Like, you were like appreciating this man. And so many people, and Napoleon Hill talks about this in his book, is we'll experience jealousy, envy, like, which are all rooted in resentment, right? So we begin walking around resenting people because they have what we want, which
I am jealous
is our
of
biggest
that. I don't have
weakness.
resentment, but I am jealous. Don't confuse that. I am definitely jealous of his. I want to expedite this process, so I don't know. I guess I'm going too fast.
Yeah, well, you're admiring him. You're like, oh, like, how can I learn from you, man? Like, this is awesome. And that is a successful route. An unsuccessful route would be, oh, I'm so jealous. Like, oh, I don't like that guy because he, it's like, we start to think that way. Girls do this a lot, actually. This is a really common thing with women. We'll look at other women that we actually secretly deep down, like, we want to be more like, but because we just start resenting them. And that's why women can be so mean to one another, and it's like, what if we looked at other women with love and admiration? I mean, that's far more empowering, because how can we expect to attract or achieve that very thing that we resent other people for having?
So can I throw a bombshell over here?
Let's do it.
I watch your Instagram account, and I know secretly there are a lot of females out there that are just doing. How much more likes and comments would you get on your profile if that belief right there wasn't there, and all the females that were on your Instagram would actually like and comment on your profile? Because a very clean profile, I mean, I don't know who the hell is doing it, but they're doing a good job. So if you're doing it, fantastic. I saw that. So I think you could triple your likes and comments on your page if that wasn't there. And that's just the truth, hard, cold.
Just me sharing what I just shared?
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are just looking at your page because I looked at it. I'm all like, this is cool. Like, I know a couple of girls in my office, they need to learn exactly what you're doing on your Instagram, because you have the feminine touch, you have the brand touch. You're conscious of what you're posting, all of that. And I'm a guy, and I looked at it, I was like, this is cool stuff. Like, I got to be following this girl. Like, where the hell has she been? Like, I got to follow this stuff, kind of learn and take that and see how can I take that and make it better for me? You contributing to I don't have to call you and say, hey, Ashley, thank you so much for this. The fact that I'm taking that, it's an advice that you didn't have to verbally give to me. But how much more likes and comments would you get if everybody else was not thinking that, oh, I want to be like her, but I'm jealous?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And thank you, by the way. I received that. Thank you so much. And it's my team. My team does it. So I shared brief. Yeah, great job, team.
A race coming very soon.
Yeah. My jam is branding and marketing. So I'm actually finally walking the talk, because for a long time, I had a pivotal, and I talk about this when I speak a lot, is I had a pivotal moment, a pivotal shift in my life. And this was recently. So I was already on the journey, right? But as we know, we're always discovering new things about ourselves, and new things come up. And, there's always things that we don't know. And that's why constant self-discovery and self-growth is so important. So we're always evolving. But anyway, so I'm on this journey, and I think I am doing great. I'm in the process. I had this meeting with Gary Vaynerchuk, and he says to me, and so bluntly, like, how he is, he just was like pointing his finger in my face. Like, why are you hiding? Why are you hiding, Ashley? And like, just background, I've known Gary for like 4 or 5 years. So he knows everything that I like, he knows what I do. He knows what I specialize in. And it's like, he just called me out, and but I didn't see it, right? I was playing this safe game. I wasn't stepping fully into the light. I wasn't fully owning my voice. I was still caring too much about what people thought of me. And that moment, I literally, that was in Starbucks in Seattle, and I ran back to my hotel. I bawled for half an hour straight. I just cried my eyes out. Like, I actually get like chills thinking about it, because I was totally playing small. And it was because of the fears that I was thinking in my head, the lack of faith I had in the fact I was thinking, oh, I'm going to show up, which this is, by the way, off of all the experience. I've had experiences in my life where people have judged me based on my appearance. Like, they'll assume that I'm just some dumb girl. And I've had people come up to me and say, like, at networking events and business events, they'll assume that I'm a +1. Like, that I'm not actually there, and they're like to actually contribute value at the event. They're like, oh, so whose +1 are you? You know? And so yes, absolutely. I've had actually people come up and say things that were very hurtful at the time, right? And so I let that, because again, it's all interpretation. It's how we respond and react. And Napoleon Hill talks about this. It's like responsibility. It's being able to respond. And so I would shut down. So every time somebody would stab at me that way, I would shut down, and I was letting it affect how I showed up. So then I thought, oh, well, if I was secretly doing all this branding and marketing for all my clients who knew me. I was only doing word of mouth. I wasn't putting it out there on my Instagram. At the time, I probably had like 10,000 followers or something. So that's a good amount of people for me that I could have been sharing my work with and what I do with, but I was hiding it from them. And so I remember just like having that moment where I was like, wow, I'm living out my fear of people not accepting me and people thinking I'm dumb and judging me and thinking, oh, who is this girl to, like, the imposter syndrome? Who is this girl to be smart at branding and marketing? Who is this girl to, And so I wouldn't even give myself the chance. And I was robbing myself of the chance. And now, like, since I had that meeting with Gary, I've been showing up. He told me start a podcast. I started a podcast. Like, I literally have done everything that he said. He's like, create video content. Like, you need to be pushing out content. Like, show what you can do. Show your branding in the content. Like, show the world Ashley. And I'm like, wow, okay. It was just such a power. I get chills all over my body thinking about it.
Well, Ashley, you had it within you. It just wasn't coming out. So it's not an outside job. It was an inside job. And Thinkandgrowrich talks about that. So all of these powers that were within you already, Gary Vee just put the light on it. Now, I think that's 10% of the work, but I think 90% of you going into the hotel and crying, just getting it out of your system. Like, okay, I'm going to come, get it out of the system. Now let's just move on. Let's just go do it. And you're not giving a shit about what other people think. I think for females, this is what I realized. I think for females, it's much a harder job to within themselves come to that realization that you shouldn't care. You should care, but you shouldn't care what other people are thinking. You should just be authentic, just put it out there. Not everybody's going to like it. It's totally fine,
Yeah, that's good, actually.
Like support you. But I think for guys, I think it's a little bit easier, to be able to say, I don't give a shit what other people think. I'm just going to do my thing. I think it's just going to be able to. But for females, I could totally see that how it would, it's a barrier that you need to just cross.
There's been studies that show that women very early on, we pick at ourselves in the mirrors. We start critiquing ourselves. Men don't do this. Actually, I forgot the study that I read or where it was, but it's like men, like when they walk past it was when people go to take a photo, like someone will break out a camera, like almost all the women will do this. But then all the men they'll just be like, or they'll maybe do like a pose, like they don't care, you don't see men going, oh, no, don't take a photo of me, but women, we do that. We're like, oh, no, like I don't have my makeup on. No, we're just so, and it's just such a great, that's why when I wrote my book, I wrote it to women, and I'm saying girl in it. I'm saying, I'm speaking to women. Men have read it and it's fine, but like that's where my passion lies, is really speaking to women and really lifting, creating more female leaders in this world. We need it. We need the feminine leadership to rise and the feminine energy to rise. And so, so yeah, I totally, I feel that. And I think that it just takes one woman and then another woman, as we slowly start to rise together, speaking out and really just owning who we are and not feeling like we need to fit this mold, right? Actually, I literally was just talking about this at the event. It's like a lot of people, like we feel like we need to fit a mold. Like we need to fit some societal expectation of us, you know, especially women. It's like, just be yourself, just be you. And that's far more attractive. And actually, fun fact, the number one most attractive trait to a man, the number one most attractive trait to a man is confidence in a woman. Woman who is confident, carries herself, no matter what she looks like, no matter any of that stuff. If she's confident in who she is, men think that's sexy. I mean, would you agree? That's sexy, right?
Well, my wife said I'm an attorney, and I just got attracted. I said, I'm done. Let's do it. That's it. I want to marry you. So that was enough confidence. She has the whole entire legal system behind her. So I was like,
I love it.
I'm in, sign me up. So, but I'll tell you a fact that a lot of females that I deal with, a lot of single moms that I deal with, a lot of times after their first child, they really don't care about a lot of other stuff. It just becomes the baby. So that photo blocking and everything else, a lot of single moms, I think that syndrome just goes away. I think at that point they're like, listen, I just had a baby. You have no idea what I went through and what I did to my body. I'm this, you're gonna like this. That's it. So yeah, they show up a lot more stronger after they've had their baby. And that's what I see. I know a lot of single moms. These girls are crazy. You talk about confidence? Oh my God. I need to get some confidence from these girls. They're like on top of it. Like they walk into the office like they own the building. Not just a little office, like they own the building. So I don't know what you're talking about, one or two. I got hundreds of them running around over here. So
yeah. And well, you know, because something shifted in them. I haven't had a child yet, but I can only imagine when you have your first child, your perspective shifts massively on life in general. I mean, you just brought life into the world. And then you start to realize you realize what's important. I mean, I'm assuming that's what happens. You start to really you start to see what matters, what truly matters to you, and what actually doesn't matter. And that's actually powerful. And I haven't really thought about that, but it's true. Yeah. It's like this new wave of confidence happens because it's like, we just have they have a perspective shift, and that's powerful. That's a pivotal moment in a woman's life.
I think your focus just changes. Now reality kicks in that you are responsible for another human being. And a lot of those small things that in a big scale of your life, they really don't matter. Like what my cousin in a different state watches my live Instagram, what he thinks, it's really not going to have that much effect in my life and my circumstance. So why would I want to ruin my day or think about that or entertain that idea, which is not going to bring me that much value? Now, if he will call me and say, Vahid, by the way, I don't like your ugly $5 vision board that you made. You know, you're just proving a point that you could make a vision board with $5, but I don't like that. Change it, put it in a frame, make it look like you got some money. I would take that as, you know, like, okay, you know, he's been watching it, you know, he doesn't like it. Maybe I should put a frame. But if he just calls me and goes, I just didn't like your tie, I'm like, I don't give a shit. I mean, I love this tie. It's easy to take off. Like, you don't have to like my tie. You got to get the message. Did you get the message, what we talked about? Who cares about my tie? Did you learn something from it? When Ashley was speaking, did you learn something from it? So, or were you just checking on my tie? Like, stop looking at my tie. Start listening to what we're trying to convey to people of what they need to do for their future. So, to me, it's like those things. I'm too old to start to care about those things. I've done that. Been there. Nah, we got to move on.
Yeah, and also just realizing, like, one thing that's brought me a ton of peace when it comes to caring about what people think and letting that stop me is I just remember that everyone's walking around projecting their worldview, their beliefs, how they grew up, what they were taught. You know, they're projecting that out into the world, and they're walking around, and they're creating their reality, right? They're creating their external reality based on their internal reality, which has been built over time. And so when I remember that it's their business, as in like, it's not my business to understand like what they're projecting on me, what they're thinking about me. Like, that ain't my business. You know, I got to stick in my business. I got to stay in my lane and keep moving forward, and then realize it's not about me. However, a lot of people, what I used to do is I would take it personally. Like, I would take it on. And the thing is you realize everyone has their own, everyone's projecting their own movie, and you have the ability to create your own as well. So what do you want to create? And why are you letting what someone else has chosen to create affect what you're creating? It's a choice. It's a choice point you have. You got to understand and embrace the diversity that exists in this world and see the beauty in the contrast. It's like, if they think that about you, if they think your tie is ugly, cool. You know, you think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Okay. But it's like, what are we going to focus on? Are we going to let that deter us from our mission and from our, like, what we're creating? We can choose to let it. It's our choice. And some people do. But it's like embracing the fact that that's actually beautiful. I think it's beautiful that everyone has their own perspective, their own opinion about life, and embracing it. And I've shifted my whole perspective on haters, because I'll get people commenting, direct messaging me saying like, who, like, da, you know, like just hating on me. Like, you're talking about this and that's not right and blah, blah, blah. Like, blah, blah, blah. Just people get really heated at me. And I used to let that like really affect me, which is why I was scared to speak up about things that were on my heart and that I wanted to talk about. And then I realized, you know what? And actually Napoleon Hill talks about this, magnetism, being polarizing. Like, that's when you're in your truth and you're walking your truth and you're self-confident, you become magnetic. You become polarizing. You start attracting what's in alignment and repelling what's not. So I actually think of haters, okay, trolls, whatever you want to call them, as actually a great thing. It's actually a measurement for success, for my success. The more I get, the more magnetic and polarizing I am. Right? Like, that's actually a great measurement for success.
I want to be part of the team. I want to respond to your DMs.
Oh,
that's my new job title. I totally would take that job on. You do not have to pay me. You have to buy me some coffee. But beside that, I will totally answer it, and I'll make sure they'll never come to your page ever again. Like, they will totally not come, and they will not DM anybody else ever again. It will be the end of their DMing. So I'm totally up for it. I'm offering my services to you for free. I will be able to do it. So I'll dedicate 30 minutes just to respond to DMs. But no, you brought up a good point. The way I look at it is it's all feedback and how you and I react to it. So the more grower, the bigger you get, the more audiences you are exposing yourself to. So it's okay if not all of it is positive. It can be all positive, you know. So that's just the way. Not every day that I get out of the bed or when I come to the office, I know I'm going to put some fires out, and I know some challenges are going to come up. And there are times that it's not a positive environment. I got to give reality check to people, and it is a positive conversation, but it's not on a positive note. We're talking about some negative stuff you got to get rid of. So to me, it's like, bring it on. Like, day by day, like, bring it on. It just makes you feel good. So to me, it's like, it just makes you a better person. So Ashley, do you have a book? I haven't seen your book cover. Do you have a book over there? Are you going to show us the book? Where's your book?
I don't. It's somewhere in my place.
Okay, never mind. But
it's actually called Magnetic Confidence.
Awesome.
So
and you can get it on Amazon. Where can we get it?
On Amazon.
Cool. So maybe we should. I mean, I'll have the guys who do the edit maybe put a link to it or whatever. We'll put it so if people are looking for it, they'll be able to do it. But tell me, my last question. I know we went over. What does it mean to have a brand? Why is it important in 2019 with the way social media is working and a new generation that's getting exposed to what a brand is on a different level? Why is it important for us to build a brand for ourselves?
So important. Thank you for the question. So and we're talking about personal branding. So I'm going to talk about personal branding. That's really my passion. That's actually what's rising right now, is you're seeing more and more people wanting to create personal brands and stepping into their personal brand. So what does that mean? Your brand is your individual, unique essence. It is the unrepeatable divine miracle that you are. It is encapturing everything that you are. There is no, like, I hate when I just had someone come to me who wanted to become a client, and she said, well, but there's so many people that are in this space. Like, it's just saturated, don't you think? I'm like, okay, yeah, but how many of them are you? How many of them are you? And she's like,
Zero.
That's what a personal brand is. You've got to understand, like me, there's so many people in branding and marketing. Do you think I think about that? Like, obviously I know there's so many people in branding and marketing. I know that when I show up as me, which is, I actually have a video on personal branding where I talk about the importance in authenticity. Authenticity means you're showing up as you and you're being yourself. You're showing up as the authentic, real version of you. And the more you try to hide and like mold into what you think you should do, the more you make yourself a commodity. And that's when you worry about competition. When you're not embracing who you are. Bring your, like, I can be really goofy. I can be a little weird. Like, I have parts of me that are very unique to me. And when clients work with me, it's going to be a totally different experience than working with someone else, right? That experience may not be for everyone, but it is for my people. And so the more that we're owning who we are, we're stepping into our personal brand. We're really defining our true essence, and we're capturing that, and we're showing up. And that's why people, they get so worried when they come to me, when they want to create a personal brand. They're like, well, what if I don't want to be a health coach forever? You know, or what if I don't want to be a business financial? They get scared of like putting their name behind something. And I go, okay, yeah, what if? Like, it doesn't matter. If you're the personal brand, you evolve. You're a person. That's why it's so powerful. Gary Vee talks about this all the time, to be a personal brand versus a company brand, right? Because you're always evolving. People will choose you because you're you, not because of what you do. And your brand is not what you do, it's who you are. And that's why it's so important for people to embrace who they are and create a powerful brand from that. And it takes being authentic. It takes showing up. It takes getting on camera and showing yourself to the world, especially for a personal brand, because you're the face. People work with you. So hello, you've got to show up and show yourself to the world. If you want to expand your business, you've got to be able to like be willing to show up and be seen. Yeah. So that's, I mean, I could go on and on about it.
And take some punches on the way up. So I made sure that everybody knows on the way there, you got to take some punches also too. So it's not, you know, everybody thinks that building a personal brand is fun. It's not fun. It takes a lot of work. You got to put energy to it. You got to get a mentor. You got to get a coach. You got to call Ashley and let Ashley tell you the hard truth that you've been a chicken and you haven't been putting your face out there. So you got to do it. So when is your course coming out on branding? When is that coming out?
Ooh, how did you hear about that?
I didn't. I was just asking.
I love it. Yeah, it's in the works. So
okay.
I'm first releasing, actually today, I think I'm releasing it today, a magnetic confidence course. It's based off my book. I've had a lot of women coming to me. I'm honestly, my heart is like so full of the fact that I'm doing this. So I'm there to serve. It's a women's circle. Sorry guys, but it's a women's circle. So I'm releasing that first. So I'm going through my magnetic confidence course, but then partway through it, I'm going to be releasing my branding course, which is of course for people who are ready to get out there and blow up their brand online and create a powerful web presence for themselves and really start putting themselves out there. So I'm really passionate about both worlds. I do believe that mindset, and you and I both know this, mindset comes first, right? So what would be beautiful is if those girls in my magnetic confidence course also went into the branding course too, because now they have the mindset, the self-belief, they have that as the framework to then move forward and build a powerful brand for themselves.
Love it. And I'm pretty sure we're getting a free copy of the course. We're getting unlimited access to it.
Duh.
No, definitely. I love it, Ashley. Thank you so much. I definitely want to know about it. If you do, send us a link. We'll put it on some type of a story, or we'll have our team look into it. It's not my division. It's not my part, but I'll make sure that they know about it. But I want to thank you so much taking out the time today being with us and explain this. hopefully, I know there's going to be a tons of questions I'm going to get on my DMs. So hopefully I'll have my team reach out to you. I know you're busy doing the course right now. Maybe in a couple of weeks, we'll have you back again and just go in depth of a little bit more of what does it take to start a brand. If someone doesn't have the financial backing right now, what are the steps that they could take to generate some income so they can come to you and take the courses or get you as a mentor. So we'll reach out to you and hopefully we'll be able to do a video on that.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I've had such a blast. And thank you everyone for watching.
Thank you so much for being here. Take care, Ashley.
Bye.
Bye-bye.